An 8-hour lullaby? German-British composer Max Richter created it. He performed Sleep in London, Paris, and Los Angeles for an audience of 100 sleeping people. To do so, he teamed up with neuroscientist David Eagleman to better understand how music can improve our sleep. Richter's spectacular experiment, however, has merely opened the first door to the dream worlds of music. If you step through further doors, you'll discover the secrets of music's effects in a completely unfamiliar way. There are 3 levels of intensity in how music affects sleep. Let's take a closer look at them and, in doing so, answer another pressing question about the impact of music. Why do we believe that music speaks to us and that it's a mirror of our inner lives? The answer will surprise you. Richter's experiment reflects the millennia-old, and perhaps the very first form of music, sounds used to lull children and sometimes adults to sleep. He draws inspiration from Johann Sebastian Bach's Goldberg Variations, which were intended to lull a sleepless diplomat to sleep or at least make his nighttime hours more bearable. But the Goldberg Variations are by no means lullabies. They are far too complex and challenging for that. And Bach certainly had a self-deprecating attitude toward them. If you watch the video to the end, we'll reveal the cheeky self-commentary he smuggled into the work. Lullabies, like Richter's music, are structurally simple enough not to challenge the mind. Rather, they are meant to lull the mind into a state of relaxation due to a lack of stimulation. Most lullabies, in fact, use only a pentatonic scale or even just a 3- or 4-note range. Or they flow gently along, like what is probably the most famous lullaby in European music history, Brahms' Guten Abend, Gute Nacht. Though called reveries, they are not exactly that. They allow thoughts to flow, perhaps only in a half-awake state. In a reverie, we conduct a monologue, we speak to ourselves. Reveries, therefore, have hardly any defined pulse or direction and follow spontaneous associations. Thus, the textures in the reverie from Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique develop from a relaxed breathing, and in Robert Schumann's Traumere from the Kinderscenen, the daydreamer seems to follow and reflect on his own thoughts. A reverie is, as mentioned, an inner monologue. So it is already clear who is dreaming here. But even in all other cases, it seems as though someone is speaking to us through music. Only, who is it? And why do we have this strong feeling that it is a person who wants to tell us something, or simply let us share in their thoughts? There is an interesting historical psychological theory on this. In 1944, the American psychologist Fritz Heider and his student Marianne Simmel showed test subjects a film featuring moving shapes. Most test subjects described the sequences as stories and perceived the shapes as acting subjects. This marked the beginning of what is known as attribution theory and the idea that we believe there is someone behind all moving objects who causes the movement. Because musical expression also resembles linguistic prosody, we are all the more likely to assume that it represents a deliberate utterance by a person. It is therefore not primarily the music that creates the impression of a person communicating with us. This phenomenon is based on a more general psychological principle. Only musical works that claim to be real dreams can reveal to us what kind of relationship exists between music and dreams. Felix Mendelssohn set a dream to music with his overture to Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream, which is indeed filled with fantastical beings and bizarre events. One must ask oneself what kind of storyteller the dream actually is. Science also offers clues here. In the 1970s, psychiatrists J. Allen Hobson and Robert McCarley proposed the activation synthesis model. It posits that during certain dream phases, our brain randomly activates neurons and that, in line with attribution theory, the brain attempts to derive meaning from this. Because these activities are fragmentary and arbitrary, the figures, shadowy characters, and actions also seem random. Dreams rarely follow a clear chronology. They jump abruptly from place to place, and transitions occur without explanation. A person can suddenly transform, simply because it feels right and not because it is logically explained. Characters, places, and objects often represent multiple meanings simultaneously. A person can embody themselves, a memory, and a feeling all at once. And there is no planning, organizing, or rule-defining authority. We try to attribute one, but we fail. In many ways, music resembles a dream. Its forms are just as fragmentary as the forms in a dream. The musical flow, too, contains breaks, arbitrary cuts, and abrupt shifts in the scenario. Just as in the phases of a dream, our brain attempts to derive meaning from fragmentary sensory perceptions. Only in this case are they acoustic sensory impressions that reach our brain through the ear, and in which we hope to find forms according to the rules of Gestalt psychology. Unlike in dreams, however, music actually has an agent who shapes the action, the composer or improviser. While dreams simply unfold, the composer shapes them. Music thus follows a form-giving will that oversees the whole. It has a direction, whereas the dream simply happens and plays spontaneously with whatever perceptions are currently present. Humor and self-irony are actually rare in dreams. That's why it's all the more astonishing that Johann Sebastian Bach smuggled a surprisingly whimsical, offbeat self-commentary into his serious Goldberg variations of all places. If you want to know more about it, check out this video. And subscribe to our channel because the best is yet to come. And let us know in the comments how you see the relationship between music and dreams.